I'd be interested now, Brian, if you wouldn't mind, just talking a little bit about kind of what the partnership has been like from your perspective. Would you maybe want to tell us a little bit about what that relationship's been like and what kind of drew you to Axiom in the first place?
Well, for us, the main driver at Grocery Outlet corporate level has been the predictive maintenance side of things. There is some real potential for cost savings there when we can catch things before they become bigger issues. And some of that will be, as simple as like if you've got coffin cases that are starting to trend warm, like they're never getting to set point, but they're not actually warm enough to trigger an alarm yet, then this system can flag that and we can address it before we get warm enough that it's a product issue. And we can also be proactive with it because we can make sure that we do the service call on regular time instead of having it go down on a Saturday when it finally hits high temp. And then also, if you do have a case that's starting to ice up, so it's starting to trend warm, then we're not having to melt a giant Titanic killing iceberg inside your case. We've got a smaller amount of ice to deal with because we were able to catch it before it got big. So that's just kind of one example of kind of the way that predictive maintenance side of it and that AI logic can really help us catch things early and help us save cost. And also by identifying lower level issues that maybe don't need a service call immediately and being able to like have a group of things that we can call a tech out. So instead of being 3 or 4 different service calls with all the travel and all that kind of stuff, we can save up a couple of those and have them come out and deal with all 3 or 4 issues all at once. And so now we're only paying one base fee and we're only paying one amount of travel. And so there's some real opportunities for cost savings in that regard as well. There is, of course, the power side of it that they already talked about and the demand response. That has a direct impact for you guys because you pay your own power bill. So that for sure is something we looked at when we were looking at Axiom. Because anytime I can find something that has the potential to put money back in your pocket, like I'm all about that. So and so far, I mean, the partnership's been good. They've worked well with us. They worked well with, especially our IT department in the beginning, trying to get all the kinks worked out to get the connections solid so that their system could do what it needed to do. It's been a good team to work with.
Awesome. Yeah, love that. My follow-up question was, could you give a couple of specific examples? But I guess you did give a couple of specific examples of anomalies that have saved some IO's money.
Well, and even here in the last week, as you guys were testing out the stores that were already live to make sure that the demand response function was working properly, we were able to identify I think it was 3 different stores that had issues with compressors where we actually did end up needing to generate service calls. They were compressor groups that were technically maintaining pressure still, but they were right on the edge. So they were going to go down. It was just a matter of time. So we were able to preemptively actually get service calls run out to those locations and get that stuff addressed.
Wow.
Beforehand,
yeah. In just to make it more extremely concrete, like what would have happened if you didn't have Axiom in that case?
Basically for those, until another compressor went down, and we had, because at one store, I'm pretty sure it was oil system issues. When I reached out to the service provider, they said, "Oh yeah, we've got a quote we're working on." I was like, "Well, stop working on the quote and just get out there." So in that instance, we would have definitely, eventually the next compressor would have gone off on its oil safety, and we would have had high pressure and, depending on response times and when it happened, like potential for product issues.
Mhm.
And then the other one was we were just able to identify a compressor that was down. I don't remember off the top of my head what the issue was at that store. I don't think I've actually gotten notes back on that one yet. But being able to get somebody out there before we lose another compressor, especially if it's an oil issue, typically the compressors will go down one at a time. So being able to get somebody out there earlier before the rack goes down and before your entire medium temp sales floor cases all warm up all at the same time, that's to me where the value in something like this comes in.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much for that. That's good context. And one thing I just want to point out is there is a Q&A feature. Jeff, I saw that you submitted your question and Henry has already answered it. So if you have questions as you're going along, feel free to submit them to Q&A. We'll get them answered. And at the very least, we might be able to answer some live in person here towards the end as well. So thank you, Brian. That's really helpful.